In every school, there's that one student. Quiet. Strange. Always alone. In Emechi Girls Secondary School, that student was Amara. And this is the story of how silence became the loudest scream. Amara didn't talk much. Scratch that, she didn't talk at all. Nobody really knew why. She wasn't born mute. The seniors said she used to talk back when she was in JSS 1. But something happened in JSS 2, and ever since then, dead silence. Teachers would call her name. She'd stand up, nod, or write her answer on a small notebook she always carried. Never a word. Not even a cough. That girl they call small o, one SS3 girl once whispered. Not just she use. She know they talk, but she they always pass, another added. The day she came first in the entire school for literature, the teacher clapped. But the students, they hissed. Jealousy no they wear uniform, sure. It was during evening prep. Bell had just gone for dinner. The students rushed in like a hungry army. Plastic plates in hand. But Amara, she waited. Always the last to enter. Always the last to eat. She sat alone. Far corner. Same seat every day. That night, Ngozi, one of the big girls, marched over. Hey you. Amara. You too they form. Abi your mouth they pain you? Abi you better pass us. Amara just looked at her. Calm face. No expression. Ngozi pushed her plate off the table. Beans and Gary scattered everywhere. The whole hall burst into laughter. But Amara just stood up quietly. Picked her spoon. Picked her cup. And walked out. Not a word. Not a tear. It started 2 weeks later. First, the dining prefect, Chioma, fainted during assembly. Then one JSS 3 boy went missing for an entire night. Found the next morning, hiding under a locker. Crying. Said he saw a girl in white, with no face. They rushed him to the sick bay. The principal said it was malaria. But the gist around the school, it was Amara's ghost twin. She get spirit where they protect her, someone whispered. All those people where they laugh her, them go collect. The school counselor tried to meet with Amara. She refused to speak. Wrote only one thing in her notebook. I want them. That night, everything changed. It was lights out. SS2 girls were already in bed. The fan wasn't working, as usual. Hot breeze, mosquitoes, and whispers filled the dorm. Suddenly, scream. From the junior dorm. Another scream. Louder this time. Girls rushed out. A girl, Blessing, was on the floor, eyes wide open, but not blinking. Frozen. Not moving. Somebody shouted. Call matron. Another girl was already crying. No Amara. She do She said it. She warned us. The principal came that night. Locked down the entire hostel. No prep. No dining. No classes. But guess what? Amara was missing. Amara was gone. Students were panicking. And Blessing still hadn't moved. But nobody knew the real secret Amara was hiding. Until they found her notebook. And on the last page, it said, they thought silence was weakness. But silence remembers everything. Her notebook in her locker. Old. Tattered. Black cover. Tied with a shoelace. Like she was hiding treasure. Or secrets. The hostel mistress, Mama Peace, untied it with trembling fingers. The other teacher stood behind her. Matron. 2 prefects. Even the principal. Inside the notebook was not just school notes. No. It was a diary. And the first page written in shaky handwriting. If I ever go missing, read this. As they flipped through the pages, the truth poured out like rain during harmattan. Amara was in JSS 2 when it all started. She was best friends with a girl named Adaeze, full of life, full of dreams. Both of them were always together, sharing food, helping each other study, even dreaming of being doctors one day. But there was one secret they shared that nobody else knew. They were being bullied. Badly. By Ngozi and her crew, the same big girl that had poured food on Amara just 2 weeks ago. The diary told it all. How they were slapped for sitting on SS3 seat. How their provisions were stolen. How they were locked in the toilet for hours just for laughing too loud. Then, one night, something terrible happened. Amara's diary shook everybody that night. One specific page had everyone in tears, even the principal. That night, we begged them to stop. But Ngozi and the other girls were angry. They said we were snitches. They forced Adaeze to kneel in the rain. She had asthma. I told them. I begged them. But they said, she go survive. Small play. Adaeze was coughing. Gasping. By the time I ran to get help, she had collapsed. Amara wrote. She died in the school sickbay at 2:14 a.m. I was there, holding her hand, watching her go. And that night, I promised I'd never speak again. Because when we spoke, nobody listened. Maybe silence would scream louder. When they finished reading, the staff room was silent. Pin drop silence. The principal dropped the book slowly. Looked up at Mama Peace. Why didn't we know? The matron's eyes were red. No child should carry that alone, she whispered. Then came the twist that choked everybody. Amara didn't run away. She was still in the school. She was found in the chapel, wrapped in a blanket. No shoes. Crying silently. She had been sleeping behind the altar since that terrifying night. Nobody ever checked there, it was always locked. But the chapel was Adaeze's favorite place, where they used to go and pray. Amara didn't want revenge. She wanted justice. And she wanted them to remember. Amara wasn't just silent for herself. She was silent for every girl that was ignored. And now, the whole school finally heard her scream. But it wasn't over. Because when the teachers called a school-wide assembly, Ngozi stepped forward and said, "Everything in that book is a lie." Assembly was tense. You could feel the tension like Nippo light just came back. The principal was standing at the front. Beside him, Amara, looking thin, eyes sunken, notebook in hand. And standing across from her, Ngozi, arms folded, braids tight, chin raised like she was unbothered. She stepped forward. "My name is Ngozi is SS3B. And I swear on my mother's life, everything that girl wrote in that diary is a lie." The crowd gasped. "She's just trying to make me look bad because she failed to move on. Yes, we had issues in JSS too. But I never killed anybody." Just then, one small JSS 3 girl in the front row raised her hand. "Sir, I have something to show." Everyone turned. Even Ngozi frowned. The girl pulled out a flash drive, plugged it into the hall projector. Boom! Grainy footage filled the white screen. It was security cam footage, date stamped 2 years back. You could barely hear sound. But the image was clear. Adaeze, kneeling in the rain. Ngozi and 2 other girls laughing. Amara screaming at them. One girl slapping Adaeze. Another pouring water on her head. Then, Adaeze collapsed. Everyone scattered ****. The whole assembly went silent. Ngozi's face, pale like someone just unplugged her soul. The principal turned around, slowly. You still want to repeat what you said? Ngozi opened her mouth. Then closed it. Tears welled up in her eyes. Within 30 minutes, her parents were called. A formal report was written. Ngozi and 2 other SS3 girls were suspended indefinitely and reported to the authorities. Students watched them walk out of the compound in silence. Amara just sat on the steps, notebook in hand. She didn't smile, didn't clap. She just looked at the sky. 2 days later, during chapel service, something wild happened. Amara stood up, walked to the podium. She looked at the crowd, eyes wide, face still as water. Then, she spoke. Not all scars are visible. Some people carry wounds on the inside. Please, don't wait until someone disappears before you hear them. The entire hall exploded in tears. That was the first time she spoke in almost 2 years. And her voice, soft, but powerful, like thunder wrapped in whisper. From that day on, things changed. The school created a safe space club for students to report bullying. Every student had access to a counselor. Amara was made the head of the new anti-bullying committee. Girls who used to mock her now greeted her with respect. Even juniors began walking with confidence. Because if Amara could survive all that and still stand strong, then so could they. At the back of the school, under the big mango tree, a small white bench was placed, with a plaque that read, "In loving memory of Adaeze, you were the voice behind the silence." Amara would sometimes sit there, notebook in hand. Not to cry, but to remember. They thought silence meant weakness. But Amara's silence echoed louder than any shout. She didn't need revenge. She needed truth. And in the end, she gave the school something more powerful than fear. She gave them a reason to change. Never judge the quiet ones. Sometimes, they carry the loudest stories. Drop your comments if this story touched you. Share if you know someone who needs to hear this. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button. More stories loading. One truth at a time.